As I was going through Mr. Mollick's file in preparation for this event, it struck me that there's probably no other teacher who would probably had so many of his documents signed by illustrious principals, signatures from Sister Paul, Mrs. Melba Pounder, Mrs. Crouch, Mrs. Anansi, and then so many CEOs from the ministry. I think no other teachers probably served under so many permanent secretaries, or perm-secs as they are now called, in the Ministry of Education. But one thing of note, I came across a letter that Mr. Mollick had probably written when he was making an application for some course of study. And here's what he said. I believe that the responsibility placed upon teachers for the growth and development of their young charges goes far beyond merely ensuring their success in examinations. I believe we're responsible for teaching our children sound values and helping them to recognize that the human being is not only a physical being, but also a spiritual one. If we are to grow as a nation, the teacher must be at the forefront of such activity so that he can contribute to the development of the total person. End quote, Mr. Wajid Mollick. So, come to the point when, what more can we say, Mr. Mollick? You have been a truly hero to many of us, and a great example. On behalf of the administration, I want to acknowledge the great respect that you have shown for the traditions of this school and for the tangible support you have given for all events, ceremonies and functions. At this point, I'd like to invite Mr. Wajid Mollick to come up and accept a small token of appreciation from the administration. Of course, it represents a symbolic gesture from staff, students, all of us here at SGC.
Good morning, everyone. May the peace and blessings of God Almighty be with all of us today and always. I thank God Almighty for His grace and mercy in bringing us all here today for this function. I cannot thank Him enough for guiding me to this noble profession, and in particular for allowing me the opportunity to be part of this wonderful SJC family. I want to thank you all who've come up here for your kind words and expressions. And my past students, I distinctly remember Asha saying to me that wherever, whatever part of the world she is in, she would be here for my retirement. And so said, so done. Dear Sister Paul, respected principals and vice principals, past and present, special guests and past students, my dear friends, colleagues and students, I am very honored that you have taken the time to be here today. I have been at this institution for my entire working life, and I have never once balked at coming to work. I know that I am not alone in this, since so many of my colleagues are also here regularly. I really love being here. My first visit to SJC took place in 1967. Yes, 67. When I came here to write the grade 3 Trinity College music exams, my music teacher, Mrs. Jurity, mistakenly felt that I had some talent and was ready to move on to another level. But I knew better. Anyway, I clearly remembered being impressed by the beauty of the architecture and by the grand entrance doorway, the same one you pass through every day. Most of you pass through without really noticing. I should also mention that as a young man, I studied art. Yes, art. Under one of our country's notable artists and music teacher, Mr. Sanilal Rambisoon. You probably never heard of him. Alas, my early exposure to art and music confirmed my lack of talent in both areas. I do the next best thing now, that is admire art and listen to music. I really didn't mean to make any jokes today. I know it's a solemn ceremony. But I have to share that with you. In 1976, prior to graduation, I sent out a number of job applications. The economy at that time was booming, petrodollars were flowing, and the opportunities for a young university graduate were many. Although I had already started teaching at SJC, I was not sure that being a secondary school teacher would be my ultimate career choice. I come from a family of business people, and the natural expectation was that I would enter the business arena. I attended a number of interviews, even while I was here, resulting in job offers in banking and in the airline industry. But by then, the seeds of my love for teaching had already begun to sprout. I declined all of the offers and threw myself fully into my chosen career. I want here today to express my special gratitude to Sister Paul, who hired me and mentored me in my early years at SJC. She is a unique individual with a great vision for education. In the mid-70s, when schools were still focused on the traditional curricula, she saw a place for business studies and business subjects and had the foresight to establish a business department. We understood each other and we developed a good relationship based on mutual respect and trust. I have fond memories of the both of us going to Best Street in the Sea Lots area to shop for the semicircular clay blocks in the 4th and 5th form area, that 4th and 5th form corridor. She and I also collaborated in obtaining the latest electronic devices for the school. She would provide the finance and I would do the shopping and selecting. Professional development of her staff was always a priority to her. And as soon as I mentioned the diploma in education to her, she encouraged me to do it, seeing that I had already decided on making teaching my career. In 1987, when I expressed an interest in going to the University of York in the UK to do a winter course in the teaching of economics, she not only urged me to go, but also part-sponsored the exercise. Before Sister retired, she took me aside and offered to send me on any professional course I might be interested in. I declined her kind offer. I was busy raising children and trying to be a good and helpful husband. I remember her taking me upstairs and showing me the empty space between the two buildings and describing to me the new computer room she intended to build. I admit now that I couldn't see it, but she was so excited and her description so clear that I eventually got a faint glimmer of what it could look like. Thank you, sister. You will always remain in my thoughts. I also want to express my profound gratitude to Mrs. Elizabeth Crouch and Mrs. Jennifer Anansing, for their professionalism, wisdom, and skill in the discharge of their duties in managing and guiding our school in the years after Sister Paul. With their unique management style, they both did a splendid job, and I'm very proud to have served with them. I have the greatest respect and admiration for them and for their continuing voluntary contributions to youth development and education in our country. I'm really happy that you're here today, although I'm not seeing Mrs. Anansing is here, Mrs. Crouch is probably not here. Anna and Maritza continue the great tradition of fine administrators. My best wishes are with them. Forgive me for calling them by their first names, but then I knew them as students. In fact, my wife also taught Mrs. Ramphal at Maria Regina. I am extremely blessed and fortunate to have served with members of the business department. Competence, dedication, and cooperation characterize each member. I want to particularly single out Mrs. Harfide for her unstinting support, advice, loyalty, and friendship over the years. I extend my sincere gratitude and appreciation to each member of my department. You made my work of HOD very easy. When I observe our staff at work in the classroom or in the staff room, I stand in awe at the level of dedication, commitment, and competence that is exhibited. Your actions are a true reflection of your understanding of your profession as a vocation. I salute each member of our teaching staff. The support I receive and continue to receive from our ancillary staff is exceptional. I thank them all. I must also single out my dear friends in the sixth form staff room. Thank you all for your gift of friendship and for allowing me to practice what could have been my other calling, medicine. At this time, I want to remember some members of our community who have since passed. Ms. Charlene Straker, Mrs. Melba Pongda, Mrs. Barbara Flamen, and Mrs. Pat Porter. They were my colleagues and friends, and they made sterling contributions to our community. May their souls rest in peace. I'm grateful to the congregation of the Order of the Sisters of St. Joseph of Cluny and the school board for granting me the opportunity to serve the children of our nation in our school. The excellent work ethic and the religious environment that exists here appeal to my temperament and made my tasks pleasant and enjoyable. For me, arriving at school is like entering a sanctuary. I immediately feel at peace when I turn into the driveway. I live in a very far place called Tunapuna, and the traffic to get to work is usually horrendous. Before I came here, I had never met nuns, and my first encounter occurred right here in our school. For me, it was a beautiful experience. The sisters reflected God consciousness and purity, expressions that I value. I must mention Sister Phyllis, Sister Miriam, Sister Raina, Sister Imelda, Sister Angela, Sister Christina, Sister Anne-Marie Rodriguez, Sister Regina, both of the latter two my past principals as well. Even though I don't see them regularly, they always remain in my thoughts. I cannot end without thanking my lovely wife for her support and patience in looking after me and ensuring that I'm always prepared for school and for marking exercises abroad. I didn't mention my children, but I also want to thank them for being there and for being here today, and for being obedient students in my classroom. In closing, I want to express my deepest appreciation to Mrs. Pongda, to Mrs. Ramphal, and to all my colleagues for their efforts in organizing this valedictory function. I really, truly do appreciate it. I thank you very much.